Hello and welcome to What the Hey, where I'm your regular host of What the Hey, and today in What the Hey, I'm once again answering yet another question. When I go to my notebook of knowledge, I see the question of who the hey was Walt Disney? Now, this question was asked by Mr. 2007, so hello to you and thank you very much for the question. Now, there's honestly a lot of stuff on Walt Disney, and I'll kind of give my general opinion like I usually do at the end of the video, but I'm mainly going to just talk about the main stuff that I took away from doing my research, but give you like the basic facts at the beginning. So Walt Disney's full name is actually Walter Elias Disney, which I guess makes sense as to why they just called it Walt. Because Walter Disney, like that doesn't sound as fun, like calling the park that, but that's his full name. Walt Disney was born on December 5th of 1901 in Chicago, Illinois, so like shout out to December birthdays because we are the best. Walt Disney died on December 15th of 1966 at the age of 65, which is a pretty long lifespan, and then I'll mention the reason why he passed away later. Before I go into any other information, Walter's parents were named Elias and Flora Disney. So it's actually interesting because Walt Disney's middle name is his father's first name. Now, before I talk about kind of the major stuff that Walt did that impacted a lot of people, probably both you and me, I kind of wanted to talk about his younger years because that typically influences how a person lives later in their life. So Walt Disney did a lot of stuff actually during his younger years, one of them being that he enjoyed art. Walter took a really big interest into art, like just the arts in general, when he was really young, which I think is cool because it's like you see that throughout his entire life, which I'll talk more about later. Besides art, Walter moved around Missouri with his family, including his siblings a lot. He also delivered newspapers when he was young. He joined the Red Cross at one point because he was really into the whole army and serving thing. And then he also drew a lot of comics for school newspapers. As Walter was getting older, he started to get into animation more, mainly because he started to do projects with the Newman Laugh-O-Grams, which were really simple back in the day animations, but those started to get him into animation in general. In addition to doing art and animation for other people, Walter started the Disney Brothers Studio with his brother, no less, to start projects like Alice's Wonderland, so he was already starting to make his own kind of company. One of the biggest things that Walter is known for is creating his character of Mickey Mouse in 1928. So he started to make his own characters and his own productions around that time. For people who enjoy animation and art, just art stuff in general, Walter was one of the first people to kind of introduce the techniques of Technicolor and the multi-plane camera into his films, which I'll talk about in a second. But it's kind of cool because I had no idea about that. Snow White, the very, very famous and old Disney animated film, was the first ever full-length animated film in 1937 by Disney, so that was a really big feat. And you look at the reviews and how people talk about it now, it's clearly not the best animated film because just some of the animation isn't that great, but the stuff that it included made it great for the time that it was at. So one of the bigger things that probably you and I both recognize is Disneyland, which was started in terms of construction in 1954 and then it finished in 1955. But a lot of people really love Disneyland and Disney World, which I've been to Disney World and I like Disney World. Disneyland is over in California, so that's kind of far, but both are really great. So I mentioned earlier that Walter Disney passed away on December 15th of 1966 at the age of 65, but he specifically passed away because of lung cancer because he did like to smoke a lot during his life, which is, the result of that. So that's exactly why he passed away. Disney has won a lot of Oscars, I think around 22 or something crazy, but I think that makes sense because he did a lot during his life. Speaking of which, before my actual kind of general opinion, a lot of people nowadays have varying opinions on who Walt Disney was. You look at some research of people who know him who are he was such a great guy, he was really nice, he did a lot of stuff to help people out, and then you have some people who say he was really racist, he did a lot of things that were clearly not as great. there's a lot of research by Walt Disney himself and people who like interviewed him that were saying like he kind of had a persona because he wasn't actually as extroverted as some people thought he was, where like some people thought like Walt Disney did not drink or smoke, whereas Walter Disney did. So they were kind of two different people, and some people see two sides of those people differently. But in my general opinion, I mean, like, interesting dude. Like, he clearly did a lot during his life. And whether or not you focus on the good or the bad, there's clearly a lot of history to say that he did do a lot of stuff. But I think in terms of the art and animation, there's, like, a lot of respect there because he kind of went through some financial struggles and just struggles in general with, like, trying to get businesses off the ground. But then there was also some things with, like, the Mary Poppins movie, which was kind of a mess. And there's a movie about that because the person who made like the story of Mary Poppins didn't necessarily like the movie that came out by Walter Disney. Like there's stuff with that. So I kind of also have varying opinions, but in general, very interesting dude. So that was all clearly a mouthful, but that's essentially the answer to the question. So if you have any questions, let me know and I'll get to answering them as soon as I can. So thank you very much for watching. Bye.